has a major problem on its hands because what the Republicans are playing for keep, right? They're playing for keep. They're going for everything right now. They're shooting their shot on abortion rights. They're shooting their shot on voting rights. They're shooting their shot on democracy in general. January 6th was not the culmination. It was the beginning. And if Democrats don't really understand the score and start to fight just as dirty as Republicans, then they're going to quickly find out that they were outmaneuvered by the Republicans over a 40-year span. And we're going to find ourselves with the inability to undo the damage. Like we have a very short window to undo the damage that they have been working on for the last 40 years. And I think this is an inflection point right now. And unfortunately, Joe Biden might be listening, but I don't think Nancy Pelosi is listening. And I don't think Joe Biden is listening hard enough and understands the score just yet, because I don't think anyone should look at what the Republican Party is doing across this country and think of it as anything else other than an outright war on our democracy and outright war on our rights as human beings, and particularly the rights for women. And if they don't govern themselves accordingly, the Democrats, if they don't respond accordingly, then what can we do when Donald Trump wins again in 2024, because there have been so many voter suppression laws passed around this country? And, oh, by the way, the Supreme Court now goes to a 7-2 conservative majority. And then, oh, by the way, he gets all these appointments. I mean, we're going to be living in the prelude to the Handmaid's Tale, as much as people have alluded to that over the years, over and over again. The writing is on the wall, and I just don't know if the Democrats are seeing it.
All right, we just have about a minute left, but I mean, and I'm no fan of Nancy Pelosi's on a whole host of things, but in the context of what you're talking about, what more can she do? I mean, it seems to me the whole game is in the Senate at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the game is in the Senate, but it's also like the collective action of the Democrats. Like, are they Nancy's floor speech this week was speaking about the importance of bipartisanship. And I get that is in itself a political move to apply pressure to Republicans, right? But it's also just like this overwhelming sentiment that is lingering over the Democratic Party. They have more respect for the institutions than the outcomes for their citizens. And they have this fetish for bipartisanship. And so I throw her in there particularly because that speech just like, it was just, stabbing me in the chest, because I'm like, we are at a point where Republicans did away with bipartisanship back with Newt Gingrich, right? That it's been gone since he was a Speaker of the House. And if the Democrats are still fighting that battle, Joe Biden included, if they don't understand that that's a wrap, then we're going to find ourselves in a much different America than we can ever restore.
And even if they're paying lip service to it because they think there's some voters out there that are going to respond to it, what they're also should be aware that their messaging is that they're not out there trumpeting the fact that the Republican Party is incapable of bipartisanship.
Absolutely.
That is the message that they should be offering.
That's it.
Why aren't we getting bipartisanship? Well, the answer is quite obvious why we're not getting bipartisanship. So the answer has to be like they're 10 years too late with their talking points. Let's put it that way.
That's it.
Ben Dixon. Always a pleasure. Folks can check out the Benjamin Dixon Show on YouTube. What else? You're doing shows every morning too, right? So,
yeah, we have a morning show, like it or not, and still doing the Benjamin Dixon Show podcast, all on the the Benjamin Dixon Show YouTube channel.
All right. Ben, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Ben.
Take care. Take care.
All right, quick break, and we'll be right back with wrapping up the week. So that's it. Quite a week in the news. Hopefully next week brings at least some peace and security for everyone in that region. That involves Palestinians who are living in their homes for decades and folks who are trying to pray and whatnot. So not just eat dinner, but all of those things. Emma and I will see those of you who watch us on Peacock next week. In the meantime, we will see you then.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
And for those of you who are sticking around, folks, we're in for a treat. We're going to have a huge fight with Ben Burgess.
Oh.
Yeah, over cancel culture.
And we're going to give him an argument.
Exactly. When you were
that's what we should have called this episode. Give him an argument.
That's right.
Argue with Ben.
Right.
Well, that doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my break. Bye.
How about this? Okay. Emma's going to step out for a second, and then we'll have Ben come in. We could have been like, oh, here's your argument.
Yeah.
Or, well, we'll take your argument. You got to go. What are you doing? No, I'm vamping.
Well, because I just thought it was fun to talk about. All right, I'm leaving. Bye.
I'm vamping. I'm trying to do it. Trying to, fill time. Folks, in the meantime, just a reminder, this show relies on your support. You can become a member at jointhemajority.report.com. And check out, we've got all sorts of different things going on. I don't know if did we get the server up, the big server thing? Check it out on our Discord channel. I can't remember if we achieved it yet. Also, you can go to Majority Discord if you're watching or listening on different platforms. There's an opportunity for people to get together, and we've got people posting, organizing opportunities and protest opportunities and donating opportunities, and we're just expanding on a daily basis. Check that out. It's great. It's great. A great community. Our fans, our audience in this program are second to none as far as I'm concerned. And really, actually, a lot of people are concerned. I mean, they're not concerned. My point is that as far as a lot of people say. Don't forget justcoffee.coop, fair trade coffee, tea, or chocolate. Use the coupon code Majority. You get 10% off. Somebody just Tim Pool is working on a sitcom. Please be true. That's from Sam McKee. Island full of noises. NPR must have listened to your show. They just put out an article entitled Young Activists See the Israeli-Palestinian Conflict as a Power Struggle Akin to the Movement for Black Lives. And Militant Apathy says, if the Senate flips, Manchin will switch parties. I don't know. If he was going to do that, now would be the time. Right? Because he would be the fulcrum. Let's get Matt, why don't you just tell us what's happening in the Matt Leckin universe?
Yeah, last night, David Griskin and I had Brandon Sutton on to talk a lot about different culture war and sort of culture war adjacent topics, like, let's say, the emphasis on masks in this country. We all know masks are important, but why is it like the thing we're talking about? And for instance, like South Dakota, right? South Dakota doesn't have such a high death rate because of poor mask usage, although it did have poor mask usage. It had the deaths because of Sturgis and the governor's decisions. Anyway, talk about that sort of stuff. Also some Israel-Palestine and Democrats. Last night, patreon.com/leftreckoning. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're like 100 away from 10,000, I think.
What?
Unless I'm misremembering that. I'm pretty sure that's right, though.
Okay.
Yeah, we're getting close to 10,000.
And folks, don't forget, it's Femme Friday on The No McKee Show. You can check that out at youtube.com/The No McKee Show. Do we have Ben?
Yeah, 1 second. He'll be joining us now.
Let's get him in. Apparently, your Gravel, somebody saw a preview of your Gravel video. And
yeah, it's coming out today.
Soon.
Right, that's a way to look. It's Ben.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome back to the program the host of Give Them an Argument and the author of Canceling Comedians While the World Burns, out now from Zero Books. Ben Burgess, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's it's good to be back. It's like it does feel a little strange and a little sad since the last time I was on was a Michael Thursday, but yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for another day, but that has always been something I've been sort of like conscious of and sort of weirded out about a little bit. But let's move through that, and let me ask you this: why can't we cancel ourselves into a better world?
Because the effect of it is the opposite of what we want in order to achieve a better world, that we need to build solidarity and help people to focus not on the moral character of individuals, but on creating better structures of society. And to the extent that we end up being very focused on, morally judging people and kind of excommunicating them for their perceived sins, we're doing the opposite of that.
Isn't it interesting? I mean, just to be provocative, I feel like a lot of the people who are, most the people in the liberal sphere who are most critical of like the carceral state and how punitive it is are very quick to be cancelers in terms of just like people don't have the ability to rehabilitate themselves in the public eye at the very least. And I understand that, like, to an extent, it's about powerful people. So there's that. But it is this emphasis on the individual that I think rubs you the wrong way and at least rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, I'd also point out that people having tweets be misinterpreted and go viral and having and possibly facing professional consequences for that is not only something that happens to powerful people. If you read John Ronson's book, So You've Been Publicly Shamed, a lot of his examples are of people who would be, nobody would have ever heard of if not for that. But even when we are talking about somewhat powerful people, which certainly comes in degrees, being the editor of Teen Vogue is not like being the Secretary of Defense. And in that instance, right, there was a recent incident where somebody who was hired as the editor is a woman in her late 20s, and 10 years before, she has, as a teenager, she had tweeted things that were trying too hard to be edgy and edging into mild racism, and she had apologized for them many times. But she was still, successfully, pressured to resign or, in a corporate environment like Condé Nast, when you say you're doing that, right, whether that's a nice way of being fired or resigning is often unclear. And I do think that there is a kind of performative contradiction in the way that you're talking about, because presumably anybody who's a leftist, who works for them, which is quite a few people. I mean, weirdly enough, there's a lot of very left content at Teen Vogue these days, presumably thinks that, we're too carceral as a society, certainly supports, banning the box on employment applications so that once you get out of prison, your criminal record won't be held against you. And it does sit very, uncomfortably to, on the one hand, say, like a rapist who gets out of prison should be allowed a second chance, and to have, and should be able to have a, productive career and everything like that. But that somebody who was guilty of bad tweets, 10 years ago, should not, right? I mean, I'm sure there are ways that you can make those two positions consistent, but I mean, at the very least, I think there is a little bit of tension there.
Okay. Now, I got to be honest. When Matt said that he was going on your show a couple of weeks ago, and we were all getting geared up, I think Matt thought it was going to be spicier than it turned out to be, and it was not. You guys didn't get as much an argument as that. And then I was excited to get into an argument with you about it.
You were excited to give him an argument.
I was excited to give you an argument, but I think let's be clear here though, in terms of just even that analogy. The rapist has gone to prison. And presumably had some moments of accountability. Now, I mean, if we're talking about the severity of the accountability, but I have a real problem with this, with just even the concept that a cancel culture is like a new phenomena, and that's one of the problems I have with just the whole idea of this, so-called cancel culture. The other problem I have with it is why is it necessarily and I agree there are excesses involved in it, of course, without a doubt, like anything else for that matter. But why is it that thing can't coexist with the type of politics that are a little bit more material based and much more material based? I mean, look, the fact is, and I don't want to get too far afield because I'm presenting two different questions here. But the fact is that our whole